Hello and welcome to CSKSpeaks. I'm CSK and you're watching me on the CSKSpeaks channel. My grandmother always used to tell me everything happens for a reason. And another one which I kept on hearing as I was growing up was whatever happens, happens for good. And I'm sure all of you have heard these two lines at least once or twice in your life so far, or maybe more than that. At least I have heard it more than 100 times from all the people around me in my house. Now, whenever I used to actually hear that, once or twice, okay, I tried to make sense of it. But after that, I just gave up. I'm like, anything happens, these people will say the same thing. So I just said, okay, forget about it. And I didn't even bother to listen about it. So we do this all the time in our life. We try to make sense of it. And after that, we just give up and just carry on with our work. I read a story, and this is a very old story, an ancient one, but then it is relevant even today. In fact, it made me realize the importance of those lines which my grandmother and my parents were telling and which elders around us keep telling. So let's get into the story right now. So there was a rich businessman, and this is an ancient story, as I said. So in those olden days, business meant you dock your ship, load them with all your products and all the things which you want to sell, and then get going. Different seaports, different cities, different countries, and then make money and return back after maybe 6 months or 9 months to your family. So this man was very rich. So he had a big ship, and then he had it loaded with all the products, and he also had all the comforts. He had his crew, his butlers, his servants, and everyone, and then he set sail. As he was going in the ocean, the weather really changed, and one thing led to another: heavy rain, then windstorms, and finally the ship lost its rudder and lost its direction, and it was moving towards one iceberg. And you all remember the story Titanic, right? This is no Titanic, but then pretty much similar, that it went and rammed into the iceberg, and then before anybody could realize, water entered the ship and the ship sank, and they all were jumping out into the ocean. Now, this rich businessman was also out in the water, and he was trying to swim and live and protect his life. And luckily for him, he caught hold of a wooden plank. So he jumped onto the wooden plank, and then he was riding the waves, and he was just waiting for some help. No help came anyway, but then the plank was definitely his lucky plank. So he kept on to that, and then he finally managed somehow after a few days to reach an island. Now that island was a no man's land. There was nobody ever set their foot on that island. So he went around roaming that island as a madman in search of food. Could not get any. Then he started getting some raw fish, some fruits, some seeds, and then he's living like, as I said, a madman trying to survive. So he finally got some energy, and then got hold of some things, some wooden barks and some leaves and some things, and then he said, okay, I'm going to now live here because this is the only thing I can do. And he sets himself to create a small little hut for him. For days together, he spends time building the hut and staring at the ocean in search of some help. So he continues to do this, and finally he builds his hut. And in the process, a little bit of common sense and science which he has understood. He uses the stone and he uses the wood to create some fire, and then he starts cooking his food, and now he is living a little bit better than what he was on that very island. Now, as humans, we all want to keep continuously improving our standard of living, right? So this businessman said, okay, how long will I eat fish and all these seeds here? Let me climb up a little bit towards that hill. Maybe I find some more variety for my food, and I can also bring and store it in my house because I have this place now, and let me store it, and then I will go forward. So he goes in the morning and starts climbing that particular hill, and in search of all the food, he gathers everything, and by the time he returns back to the home or the hut, to his dismay, he finds the hut being burned down. So he actually comes where the hut is burning almost towards the end, and he is disappointed. He just throws all the food he had gathered, and he starts rolling on the floor in frustration, angry and agitated, and then he starts yelling at the sky. He starts cursing the god and the superpower. He says, "What mistake have I done? First, my ship got into an accident. Second, I somehow struggled and I got out of a plank and I came onto this island and there was nobody here, no food, no water. Somehow I survived. Third, I gathered the courage and I built this hut. You never helped me. And now, instead of protecting me, you have destroyed this little hut which I have created. What do I do? What mistake have I done?" So he starts questioning and he starts yelling, and then out of frustration, he just lies down there on the ground. After crying for a while, he gets tired and then he falls asleep. Maybe after an hour or two, he wakes up. And when he wakes up, he listens to some noise. He hears somebody talking in the distance. He is suddenly awake and is like, "Nobody is here on this island and I'm hearing people talking. What is happening around me?" So he gets up and then looks around. And when he looks around, he sees a few people coming towards the island in a lifeboat. He's jubilant. He's like, "Am I living a dream or is this really happening in front of me?" So he looks and then he waves to those people, and those people also wave in turn, and then he waits for them to reach the particular island. And then they tell them that, "Okay, get on, let's go, because I know that you're stuck here and we want to help you." He's like, thank you so much for coming and helping, but how did you even know that I'm here? Because I've been here for almost 15-20 days now and nobody bothers to come this route, and how did you people find me and how did you people think of helping me? To that, those two people from the lifeboat replies, "Well, we never had any plans to come in this route. We were actually sailing on the other side. But then our captain spotted a smoke alarm coming from this island. And we know that we are sailors, we know that nobody lives on this island. But if there is fire and there is smoke, then there is somebody sending out a distress signal." That's when we turned our direction and we thought, let's go and help somebody who's stuck here. And that's how we are here. Now let's not waste time, let's get going. And then the businessman was rescued. Long story short, he comes back home and he's happy with his family. Now let's rewind. Let's look at what happened. A few minutes ago, the businessman was disappointed, dejected, devastated with the fire burning down his hut, and he was cursing, looking up at the sky. Rewind a little bit. My grandmother used to say, "Whatever happens, happens for good." And my parents used to say, "Everything happens for a reason." Well, friends, if you look at it, it's very easy for us to turn back and say, "See, if that fire would have not burned down the hut, it would have not rescued him." And that's why that fire happened. Now, if I know that somebody is going to set my house on fire and that fire signal is going to send a distress signal and then somebody is going to come and help me, I'll be all right. The problem in our life is we don't know what every action will lead to. And that's why we don't have faith in these lines and these words. How about let's have a deal? Let's say it loud and clear to ourselves that everything happens for a reason, and that reason is working in your favor. Yeah, say it with me. Everything happens for a reason, and that reason is working in your favor, in my favor, in your favor. Now, when you say this, you suddenly get the confidence. You suddenly get the faith that whatever happens, forget about good or bad, but it happens for a reason, and that reason is working in your favor. I think that's how we should take life. Let's resolve to commit to repeat this statement And I'm a teacher, so I can't help but make you repeat one last time. Everything happens for a reason, and that reason is working in your favor. Thank you for watching CSK Speaks. Now, before I leave you, do like, comment, subscribe to my channel so that you can be a regular on my channel. And I was told that if you click on the bell button, you get notifications. Maybe you will have to check that out, but please click on the bell button and let the notifications come to you. Thank you and stay safe.